invoking Bhagwan's presence and benediction in this holy satsang. Respected elders and my dear sisters, brothers and children, my loving Sai Ram to all of you. Firstly, I offer this satsang at the divine lotus feet. When God created man, God started having problems. Man would run to God, grumbling and complaining all the time at the drop of a hat. If it is raining, he would come and say, "Oh God, why did you create this rainy season? I cannot go out." And come summer, he would again complain, "It is such a wretched climate. And what is this, O God?" And a married man would run to God and say, "Why did you get me married? I was probably better off being single." And a single man or a woman goes to Lord and says, "I need a partner." So man started suffering everything under the sun. He suffers his togetherness, he suffers his loneliness, he suffers heat, cold, pain, pleasure, everything. And he runs to God complaining about it, making God responsible for this. Then God thought, "Oh, I have lost my peace of mind by creating this man." So God wants to go and hide somewhere. He goes to the moon to hide. And Neil Armstrong is already there for him. "Oh God, come, let's have a cup of coffee." So let me go to the Mars. But God is shocked to see there is already a big line waiting to be there. So God being God, which means God is good at doing anything and everything. He's so good, isn't it? So God devises a plan. He thinks, "Let me go and hide in the heart of man. That will be a safe haven for me." Because God says, man is so busy taking selfies these days, he rarely thinks about his own self, and let me be there and I will be peaceful there. And God also adds, if at all one day man chooses and thinks enough is enough, and let me make this inward journey, let me not be so involved in the world, and let me make an inward journey. If he chooses to do so, God says, on this way itself during the journey, all his questions will be answered one by one, and ultimately, when man seeks me in his own heart and understands it is his own self, then not only is God at peace, and God says this man himself has reached Prasanthi, that is peace itself. And this really is the true journey with Bhagwan. See, Bhagwan's teachings are studded with Chinnakathas, parables, simple analogies, which make us understand the toughest teachings of highest spirituality in a very simple way. See, we do not act upon our knowledge. Our actions are not based upon our knowledge, isn't it? The knowledge is there here. I'm not the body, I'm not the mind. But how do we act? So our actions are based upon our conviction. Whatever we are convinced of, we act upon that. And Bhagwan's teachings are so simple and so practical that they create this conviction in us. Yes, you can do it. And that is the greatness. That is the simplicity. That is the lucid nature of Bhagwan's teachings. And dear brothers and sisters, this talk is a recapitulation of Bhagwan's teachings for you and me. So what is the problem in this journey, in this inward journey with Sai? Bhagwan narrates a beautiful Chinnakatha. There's a fisherwoman who goes to neighboring villages every day to sell fish, and in the evening she is back home. And one such evening, when she is not able to return home, she decides to take shelter in the house of a lady who sells flowers, the flower seller. And she goes there and she is given a room, and she's so restless she cannot get to sleep. Suddenly she realizes what is missing with her. She goes out, brings her fish basket, which is already dry by now, sprinkles little bit of water on the basket, and when the basket starts emanating this fishy odor, she's so peaceful, she's off to sleep soon. See, this story has a profound message for all of us. Whether we like it or not, whether we accept it or not, we carry our cherished fish basket wherever we go. We lug it so much, we even carry it on our head. And what is this fish basket that we are talking about? It is our own likes and dislikes. Likes, I want to get something from the world, somehow I will go after it and get it, and I'm so attached to it, I'm not able to part with it. So this like leads to a very serious problem, which is called raga klesha, our attachment. I don't like something and I want to get rid of it, and this is what we are all doing. People want to get rid of, other people from their own life these days, and that is what is happening. So this dislike leads to a serious problem, which is called dvesha klesha, which is aversion. See, even if you look at any social network site, be it the YouTube or the Twitter, there are these two icons, isn't it? Like and dislike. So every moment we are entertaining this like and dislike. And even a serious spiritual seeker who is doing so much of seva and sadhana, even the point that he misses is every time he is given to this raga and dvesha, like and dislike, attachment and aversion, his identification with the body is getting strengthened that much. Our dehabhimana, our attachment to the notion that we have, I am this body, I am this mind, that is getting strengthened, and that is the point that we miss. See, Bhagwan, once speaking to a group of students, said, Sai Gita, Bhagwan's dear elephant, when she was a little baby, she would be tied to a peg inside the ashram near the Gopuram gate through a chain or a rope. And this little Sai Gita thought that she cannot free herself. She cannot break away from this chain, and she cannot free herself at all. And this notion became so strong in her that she cannot have freedom. See, even, Swami said, even when Sai Gita became a big elephant, when she had the might of a big elephant, she never tried to free herself, because so heavily conditioned to this notion that I am tied. And Swami says, this is what you are all doing. You are so heavily conditioned to this notion that I am this body, I am this mind, and you are tied to this. And this is what we have lived our lives, many, many lives, isn't it? So this attachment, this bondage is so strong in us. Swami says, even when God comes and tells you that you are not this body, you are not the mind, it is not so easy for you to untie yourself. That is our problem. So this raga klesha, dvesha klesha leads to yet another problem, which is called asmita klesha. Asmita klesha means I-ness and minus. Ahankara, mamakara. I am Mr. So-and-so. These are the degrees that I have got. These are my achievements. The I-ness comes with strong body identification. And minus. I must get this because I have done this. This belongs to me. This is mine. Mamakara. And this asmita klesha is what leads to yet another problem, which is called Abhinivesha Klesha. It is not your national president, Brother Abhinesh. It is Abhinivesha Klesha, which means clinging on to the body so strongly. See, we are so attached to the body. We think we will live forever and ever in this body. That is why we keep on accumulating things. Tomorrow, day after tomorrow, this will be useful to me. And this is what our tendency is, this clinging to the body. See, there is this Yaksha Prashna episode in Mahabharata, which is a rapid fire round between Yudhishthira and the Yaksha. One of the questions that the Yaksha asks Yudhishthira is, what is the most astonishing thing in the world? And Yudhishthira says, every day man sees people around him going to the abode of death, the Lord of death, Yama, but yet he thinks he himself will not get an invitation from the Lord of death, Yama, clinging on to the body. This is what Abhinivesha Klesha is. Well, where are all these problems coming from? Raga, Dvesha, Asmita, Abhinivesha, they all come from the single root cause, which is called Avidya Klesha. Avidya, ignorance. Ignorance of what? Ignorance of our own true nature. We do not know who we are. Though Swami keeps reminding us, you are not one but three. What you think you are, that is the body. What others think you are, that is the mind. But you are truly what you are. That Atman, that consciousness, the spirit in us, and the body and mind are only the matter, the ever-changing matter, but the constant thing is the consciousness which appears as this body and mind. And we do not know we are that consciousness, that spirit. So we do not know that we are complete by ourselves. So what happens? There is this incompleteness in us, this inadequacy, this insufficiency. If I get something from the world, some object, some relationship, then I can be happy. Then my life is fulfilled. And this is what we are doing constantly. So this avidya, ignorance, gives rise to kama, desire in us, desire for the world. If I take an exotic holiday, only then, I can be rejuvenated and I can, come back to my work energized. And the house that I'm living in is not good enough. Only if I move to a bigger mansion, I will be happy. And this is the karma, the desire. And this is this karma that prompts us to act in the world to fulfill the desire. And this is called karma. The cycle itself is avidya, karma, karma. So when we are acting like this in the world, engaging in karma, naturally the doer of karma is born in us. This is called the doership, kartritva bhava. And this doer of karma naturally demands the fruit of action, isn't it? That is exactly why he is acting in the world, to fulfill his desires, to get something from the world. So there is this enjoyship or experiencership, which is called bhoktritva. And to enjoy or suffer the fruits of our own action, one lifetime is not enough. And that is why we keep coming back again and again to bodies after bodies. Punarapi jananam, punarapi maranam. The transmigratory cycle of birth and death continues for us because of this avidya klesha. So, constantly what we are doing, having come into the world, we want to avoid suffering, we want to be happy all the time. This is a quest for happiness. That is why we want to fulfill our desires also, to get happiness from the world, isn't it? How does man seek happiness? There are these 4 pursuits that our scriptures speak about, which are called as the Purusharthas. Dharma, Artha, Kama, Moksha Purushartha. First, let's see what Kama Purushartha is. Kama literally means desire, as we all know. But by fulfilling our desire, what are we seeking? We are seeking pleasure. Happiness, but an inferior form of happiness is what we are going to get from Kama Purushartha. That's why it's called as pleasure. And there is no dearth of avenues for seeking pleasure, especially in this day and age for us, isn't it? A boy who is so busy playing his video games or computer games, or all of us who are so busy engaged, surfing the net all the time, busy with social network sites. And a man, a young man who hangs out in a restaurant or in a movie theater for some pleasure, these are all Kama Purushartha avenues. And someone who takes to smoking, drinking drugs, that is also for the sake of pleasure, and they are also for the sake of Kama Purushartha. Well, what is the nature of happiness that we get from this Kama Purushartha? We all know very well. We are experiencing it day in and day out in our life. This happiness is short-lived. It is momentary, isn't it? The moment, the happiness that we get from fulfilling a desire, it is soon lost because another desire builds up in our mind. The mind again becomes restless, and this pleasure or happiness is no more there with us. And not only this, something which gives us happiness or pleasure today, we need more and more of it tomorrow. This is the problem with all the substances. One cigarette which gives pleasure today, tomorrow the same person needs more and more of it, and varieties of it. And that is why Somerset Maugham once said, if you single-mindedly chase pleasure, soon you will find that nothing pleases you anymore. So much for the happiness that we get from Kama Purushartha. And we also know this is what takes us to addiction and habit formation, chronic substance abuse disorder. Such a great problem today. It comes from chasing Kama Purushartha for the sake of happiness. Even our addiction to social network sites, that is also only Kama Purushartha. We all know it very well, isn't it? And there is one more problem that comes from Kama Purushartha. See, if you give me one gulab jamun, I am happy because I love the sweet. And 2 gulab jamuns, probably my happiness quotient goes up. 3 gulab jamuns, I don't know whether happiness goes up or not. My stomach is full. I say no, but you still force me take one more. I even feel like throwing it up. Something which was a matter of pleasure, happiness for me a moment ago has become a matter of pain for me. This is the nature of happiness that we seek from Kama Purushartha. That's why probably the Buddha said, every pleasure is a pain in disguise, and it takes us to only pain. See, once in the interview room, Bhagwan was talking to a couple, and there was also a young man who was there. And to this young man, it seemed that the couple are, pouring out their heart to Bhagwan, and they are crying. And then Bhagwan turns to this young man and says, see, this couple came to me many, many years ago when they got married, and they are doctor couple, and they wanted to start their practice, and I blessed them. And later they came to me saying, Swami, we don't have a child. Please bless us with a child. Then Swami says to them, why do you want a child? You take Swami as your child. But they say, no, Swami, you are a divine father, divine mother. We want a child, Swami. The life will not be fulfilled without a child in our lives. Then Swami blesses them with a child, and they have a son. The son is grown up, well educated, well settled in life now, and the son is even married now. And Swami says to this young man, see, now they are coming and crying out to me because the son wants to stay separately with his wife. The son doesn't want to stay with the parents anymore, and they are so unhappy, so sad, and they are crying out their heart to me. So Swami says, this son who was a source of happiness for this couple just a few years ago, this very son has become a problem. The very son has become a matter of pain for them. And this is the limitation of Kama Purushartha. With probably some awareness, we all know we are not just chasing Kama Purushartha alone. We are so involved in our careers, in our hobbies, and in our profession. And this is how we are seeking happiness also. This is called Artha Purushartha. Though Artha Purushartha literally means wealth, it also means, fame, name, and achieving our personal ambitions or power. All this comes under Artha Purushartha. But what we are seeking through Artha Purushartha, we are seeking some form of security in our life. Financial security, social security, emotional security. This is what we are seeking. And thanks to technology today, our life is made so simple. There are so many amenities and gadgets for us. No, it's not a hardship anymore, our life. But with all the things that we can buy from, what the money can buy for us, can we say with all these comforts, are we happy? Are we really happy? Can we say that we are happy because I can afford so many comforts and I can afford all this and I have made name and fame in my career and, in my personal life? At the most, we can say we are comfortably unhappy with all the comforts that we get from Artha Purushartha. So this is the limitation of Artha Purushartha. And there is one more facet to it. See, when we have made a name and fame and we are in a position, the very, thought of losing this power and position, that causes fear, that causes insecurity in us. And this is also the limitation of Artha Purushartha. So we have seen the world enough, we have had Kama, we have had Artha, and we have grown in our spiritual awareness. Then what is available to us for the sake of happiness? It is Dharma Purushartha. We all know, isn't it, at least having come to Bhagwan, we should lead a life of morality, ethics, and we should do the right thing, the righteous thing. And that is what we are all probably doing also. But when we do something right, when we do something good, then what happens? That leads to punya, merit. This punya or merit leads to sukha, happiness. So, to enjoy this sukha or happiness, we ourselves have to come back again and again to these bodies. This is the limitation of even Dharma Purushartha. Probably we get a good life, but yet Dharma Purushartha is still a finite means for the infinite happiness that we are seeking. We want to be happy all the time. The highest happiness, infinite happiness, this is what we are seeking because our nature is this infinite nature. This is there in us and this is what we are seeking. But even Dharma Purushartha is a finite means, a limited means. See, it is said, if you want to be happy for a day, go for a picnic. If you want to be happy for a week, take a vacation. If you want to be happy for a month, get married. If you want to be happy for a year, inherit wealth, either your father's or father-in-law's. That will give you happiness, probably for a year. But if you want to be happy forever, come to spirituality. Come to Moksha Purushartha. What is moksha? Bhagwan says, moksha is mohakshaya. Mohakshaya, moha, the delusion. The delusion that I am this body, I am this mind. When I think that I am this body and I am this mind, still everything I do in the world, it is for the comfort of the body, it is for the pleasure, it is for the happiness of the mind. And when you get rid of this delusion that I am not this delusion that I am this body, I am the mind, when this delusion is destroyed, mohakshaya happens. When this delusion ends, that is moksha. See, we all know that Bhagwan had installed a set of, Radio Sai set in his residence. And once there is a question and answer program going on the radio Sai, and a learned speaker is answering the questions of the seekers. And one of the questions that is asked is, can atheists get moksha? Atheist, as we all know, who doesn't believe in the existence of God, can he get moksha? And Bhagwan's servitor asks this question to Bhagwan, Swami, what is your answer? And Swami says, whoever gets rid of dehabhimana, this attachment, this identification with the body, I am this body, I am this mind, whoever gets rid of this identification, bodily identification, dehabhimana, he will certainly be liberated. So to overcome this dehabhimana is what moksha all about. But how far is moksha from us? That is the question. See, there is a washerman who has a donkey, and he takes the pile of clothes to be washed, on the back of the donkey to the nearby river. Every day he completes his work and comes back in the evening. One day he forgets to take the rope with which he ties the donkey to the tree when he is busy at work, so that the donkey doesn't run away. So he doesn't know what to do. He is very much scared. The donkey may go away when I am at work. So he goes to a sadhu who stays nearby, and he asks, what can I do? What is the solution to my problem? And the sadhu says, don't worry, it is a donkey. You just pretend that you are tying the donkey to the tree, and the donkey will stay there, it will not move. Are you sure this will work? Yes, it will work. And after all, a sadhu is telling, and this washerman believes him, and he ties the act. He pretends that he is tying the donkey to the tree, and he is busy washing clothes, and once in a while he looks at the tree whether the donkey has escaped or it is still there, and the donkey is there like a statue. It has not moved an inch. And the man is happy, and in the evening he comes and he puts the clothes back on the donkey's back, and the donkey now doesn't move. Then he again runs to this saint, the sadhu, and he says, you have tied, isn't it? You just pretend that you are untying the donkey, and the donkey will move. And that is what he does, and the donkey starts moving. See, this is the foolishness of the donkey. And this is the foolishness we are all entertaining all the time. We are like this donkey. See, the mind, the monkey, the mind is riding on this body of donkey in this circus of life. It thinks that it is bound to the world, but it is actually free. This bondage that we think that is there, that we are attached to this body and mind, attached to the world, we are bound all the time. This is only a delusory bondage, like the donkey we are foolishly thinking. And when this delusion goes away, there is this freedom immediately. That is what now here, when we realize what we truly are, that is what moksha is. So, having known all these things, what are the problems, the obstacles that we encounter in this journey? And Bhagwan, narrates a beautiful Chinnakatha. Bhagwan says, in ancient India, people had devised a method to catch monkeys. You all know this story, isn't it? At the back of, like the back of your hand. But it's a recapitulation, as I said, Bhagwan's teachings. And they would, get a pot with a narrow neck, and they would put some nuts inside the pot. And the monkey, which loves the nuts, would come and put its hands inside the pot and would catch hold of the nuts. And when the fist of the monkey is full, it is not able to take out its hand through the narrow bottleneck of the pot, and the monkey is trapped. The monkey thinks that there is something inside that is pulling the monkey down, and it is not able to free itself, least realizing that it is its own attachment to the nuts. It is holding on to the nut so tightly, and that is what is causing the problem, and that is what is trapping the monkey. Similarly, Swami says, it is your own attachment to the world, the things in the world, the people in the world, the situations in the world. See, it is this nuts that we are attached to that drives us nuts in our mind, and that is the problem for us. But we foolishly think that it is this world with its enchantments, with its attractions, and this phenomenal world that is what holding us back, and that is the problem for us. It is not so. It is from our own thinking, from our own attachment. So Bhagwan explains this point with yet another analogy when he says, see, you go to a military hotel and you ask for a plate of idli, vada, sambar. The waiter looks at you strangely and he asks, didn't you see the bold board outside? What is written there? It is military hotel, where you get only non-vegetarian food. And coming here, if we want the South Indian canteen, breakfast, idli, vada, sambar, we cannot get it, isn't it? Swami says, similarly, the board against the world itself is anityam asukham lokam, a world which is impermanent, which is transitory, which is ephemeral, which is ever-changing. See the word Jagat. Jagat is the word for world. What is Jagat? Ja means Jayati, that which is born. Anything that is born should go away one day. So, Ga means Gamyati. It just goes away, it just vanishes. It is there. It is so ephemeral. Ti means Tishtati. In this period in between, it momentarily stays for us. And that is the nature of the world. Anityam, the ephemeral, ever-changing, phenomenal world. And Asukham, which is full of misery, which is full of sorrow. As we saw, every pleasure is a pain in disguise, and ultimately it leads us to sorrow, isn't it? So, having come into this world, if you are asking for finite happiness, for infinite happiness, from this or unchanging happiness, from this changing world, the ephemeral world, the world full of sorrow, how is it possible for you? So what is the answer to this problem? As Bhagwan says, Anityam asukham lokam imam prapya bhajasvamam. Take recourse in worshipping the Lord. See, the very first bhajan that Bhagwan taught us is Manasa Bhajare Guru Charanam. Take refuge in the lotus feet of the Lord, and He will guide us and He will show us the way. And that is exactly why Avatar comes. As Swami says, you are born in order to learn how not to be born again. And Swami adds, to show Manava the way to Madhava, the way to immortality. Madhava comes as Manava. God comes in human form. And this is our Bhagwan for us. And having come to Bhagwan, He is our best guide. He is our Sadguru, isn't it? See, even in the Bhagavad Gita, it is when Arjuna surrenders to the Lord in the spirit of discipleship, when he says, Shishyasteham Shadhimam Tvam Prapannam. O Lord Krishna, please be my Guru and take me as your disciple, and please instruct me, Shadhimam, Nishchitena Bruhi, please tell me for sure what I should be doing. My mind is so confused. Dharma Sammoda Cheta, he says. I am confused as to what my dharma is at this point in time. Please guide me. Please show me the way. That is when Krishna becomes his Guru and he imparts self-knowledge to Arjuna. See, even though we have Bhagwan in our lives, as Swami says, I will come, I will give you what you want in the beginning so that you come to me seeking what I have come to give you. And when we have got what we want from Bhagwan, and if we still not seek from Bhagwan what he has come to give us, this is a life that is wasted, isn't it? If we cannot have this highest Guru as our guide in this journey, and that is our self-effort, That is our Purushartha, the consistent application of self-effort in the right direction of practicing the teachings of Bhagwan. See, that is why, this love for God, when we have bhakti to God, bhakti to Swami, that is a very, very powerful tool for us. See, when we understand, from the futility of these Purusharthas, Dharma, Artha and Kama, this is called Purushartha Nishchaya. We have understood the futility. We are convinced that the happiness does not lie in the world outside. I cannot get the infinite happiness, the fulfillment, the peace that I am seeking from this finite world. When we have understood this, what we need is dispassion to this world. Certain detachment to the world, knowing fully well, based upon the strong conviction that what I am looking for, I will not get in this military hotel. That conviction. And this conviction is what is known as Vairagya or Viraga. Viraga, Vitaraga, without attachment to the world. So that is what dispassion, that is what detachment is. But Viraga also is Vishesha Raga. Vishesha Raga means special attachment. So when we have this special attachment to Bhagwan, through this, Viraga, we can get rid of the other Viraga, that is Vitaraga. When we, as Swami himself says, when you attach yourself more and more to Swami, there is naturally detachment to the world. The more and more we grow in our bhakti, in our love, in our Daiva Priti to Bhagwan, the more and more, he becomes the beloved. See, even in our worldly life, when we have, a beloved, we want to please him or her all the time, isn't it? When Bhagwan becomes our beloved, we know we want to please him through our thought, word and deed. So we tend to test our thought, word and deed on this touchstone. Will Bhagwan approve of this? Will Bhagwan be pleased if I speak this way, if I act this way, or if I think this way? And this Daiva Priti, the love for him, that we want to please him all the time, that we want to get his approval, that we want to practice what he says, that we want to obey Bhagwan. And that is what, helps us to get rid of this attachment to the world, and we grow more and more in detachment to the world. That's why Bhagwan says, Bhakti gives you Shakti, the strength. For what? Shakti, to have Virakti, that is dispassion, detachment to the world. And it is this Virakti that will take you to Mukti, that is liberation. So this Daiva Priti, Imam Prapya Bhajasvamam, that is one of the most powerful tools for us to do Purushartha Nishchaya and to make Moksha Purushartha the only pursuit of our life. And Bhagwan also draws our attention to another important point in our journey, that is, Swami says, when you invite a blind man to your home for a dinner, the blind man does not come alone. He comes with a person who attends to him, who takes care of him. And you cannot afford to say, I will have my guest, the blind man, alone and not the other. Swami says, this is how the world is. This happiness or pleasure does not come to you alone. There is always a companion. There is this pain. That is the nature of the world, the dualities of the world, the dvandvas in the world. And that is what the nature of the world is. Wherever there is pleasure, there is pain. Heat and cold at the level of the body, happiness and sorrow at the level of the mind, and success and failure at the level of the intellect, and praise and criticism at the level of the intellect. At each and every level of all the matter layers in us, the body, mind, intellect, there are these dualities. Matra sparshastu kaunteya shitoshna sukha dukkada. The Bhagavad Gita says, the way you interact with the world, that itself produces these dualities. It is unavoidable. So what is it that we need to do to overcome this duality. And Bhagwan says that is why it is very important for you to have equanimity, samabuddhi, to take both pleasure and pain the same way. See, if we look at the dualities, the pain and the pleasure, especially this dosa or idli, the pain is like the dosa or idli, the main thing that we eat. And this pleasure is only chutney. It is so small for us. Mostly the pain is there, not the pleasure, isn't it? That is what we are all going through. And that is our problem. So to overcome this, Swami says, equanimity. And Bhagwan gives us so much importance to equanimity. He says, equanimity is the only full-time devotion to Bhagwan. Speaking to a university, institute teacher, Swami asks, what are the types of, employees in a company? And this teacher replies, Swami, there are two types of employees, full-time employees and part-time employees. What is full-time employment? Swami says they get full salary at the end of the month and they get so many perks also. Whereas a part-time employee gets paid, according to the number of hours of work that he puts in, the wages. He gets paid for that and he doesn't get all the perks. And similarly, Swami says, my company also, there are two types of devotees, full-time devotees and part-time devotees. And what is the part-time devotees? Swami says, the seva, sadhana, the satsang, all that you are doing day in and day out, so sincerely also, we are all doing. That is all part-time devotion, Swami says. Then this teacher is shocked. Swami, this itself is so difficult for us. We are juggling, to do all these things. So many responsibilities, so many roles that we don, having come into this world. So what is full-time devotion, Swami? Swami says, equanimity. See, in the very first letter that Bhagwan wrote to his elder brother, Sheshamaraju, in the year 1947, on May 25th, Swami writes, I have an expectation of my devotees, those who are devoted to me. They must take both pain and pleasure equally. And this is what Bhagwan expects from us. And well, how do we get this equanimity? It comes from one of the important aspects that is called prasada buddhi. When we learn to receive every outcome of every action of ours, whatever we do, as the prasadam of the Lord, good or bad. There is probably something goes well, that is also his prasada, and something not so well, that is also his prasada. When we have this prasada buddhi, that leads to manaprasada. Manaprasada means tranquility of the mind, pleasantness in the mind. The mind will not be agitated. The mind will not be restless. Even when something goes wrong, the mind will be peaceful. That is why doing everything as naivedyam to the Lord, as an offering to Swami. Swami, this is for you I am doing, and I don't want anything from it personally. I'm not asking what is in it for me. I have done my level best and I leave the rest to you. See, it is only when we have an eye on the fruit of action, what am I getting out of it, that is when we are stressed. That is when we are anxious. That is when we are able to focus on the task itself. Isn't it? This selfishness. What am I getting out of it? We are so stressed because of it. On the other hand, I am doing it as an offering to Swami. I have offered this to Swami. No, it is the spirit of dedication to the Lord. I have done my best and I leave the rest to Swami. That is when we are peaceful. And that is how this prasada buddhi, takes us to equanimity in our life. And there is this another beautiful mantra that Bhagwan gives us, especially when we are going through this various vicissitudes of life. See, there is a king who once calls his wise minister. See, in every story, somehow the minister is wise. He will advise the king. We have seen, isn't it? So here also there is this wise minister, and the king calls him and says, give me one sentence by reminding which I am not elated when, I achieve something and when there is happiness, and I am not dejected when something goes wrong. Please tell me this one sentence I want. And the wise minister also has no clue. He doesn't get an answer. He comes home and his daughter asks him, "Why are you so worried, father?" He says, "I have to get the answer to this question that king has asked me. One sentence I have to give the answer." And the daughter says, "Take me to the king tomorrow, I will solve his problem." And next day she comes along and she says, "O king, make a sticker and inscribe these words on the sticker and stick it on your forehead. Stand in front of the mirror and read that and let it sink into you. Let it give you conviction, and that is the answer to your question." Well, what is written there? The words are, "This too shall pass. Neither pleasure nor pain is permanent. Everything is a passing cloud," as Bhagwan says. See, this too shall pass is such a dear mantra that Bhagwan has given us. And Brother Sai Giridhar was telling us in a convocation drama where Yudhishthira had to tell this dialogue, "This too shall pass." Like this is the mantra that is given by Lord Krishna to Yudhishthira in his testing and trying times, to remind, to keep himself peaceful and to have the courage and strength to go through that vicissitude. Then Swami made him repeat this mantra, 4 times, like every time, emphasis on each word. This too shall pass. This too shall pass. This too shall pass. This too shall pass. So everything is impermanent. It just comes and goes. As the Bhagavad Gita says, "Agama apayino anityaha." It just comes and goes. And it is anitya, it is temporary, it is impermanent, ephemeral. So the Lord says, "Tam titikshasva bharata." Have this forbearance, have this fortitude, have this equanimity. This too shall go away. See, Bhagwan has given us such simple tools for us, reminding, which we are able to, journey easily in this, journey with Sai. And another thing that Bhagwan speaks about is, Swami says, when you are, driving a car in the rough roads, then what happens when you have to shift the gear, through these rough roads, and you have to press the clutch, isn't it, to make the transition smooth from one gear to the other. Similarly, when you are traversing through these rough roads of life, alternating between pain and pleasure, triumphs and tragedies, when, in order to make the transition smooth in this journey through the dualities of life, hold on to the clutch, hold on, press this clutch of faith that whatever happens, happens for my highest good. Because Bhagwan knows what is best for me, and He will give me that. And I need not break my head, and I need not be stressed or anxious anymore. And this faith in Bhagwan, see, the bhakti itself starts from our faith in God, isn't it? See, even in the Bhagavad Gita, when we say Bhakti Yoga is probably the easier of all the 3 yogas, the Lord teaches Bhakti Yoga only as late as the 12th chapter in the Bhagavad Gita to Arjuna. Why so late? Before that, in the 11th chapter, the Lord shows him his cosmic form, Vishwarupa Darshana. It is only when Arjuna is fully convinced that the person who is in front of me, who is teaching me all this, is not ordinary being. He is that cosmic Purusha himself. When he is convinced of the omniscience, the omnipresence, the omnipotence of the Lord, when his faith grows in Krishna, that is when Krishna teaches bhakti to Arjuna. So if we have to grow in our bhakti, it is very important for us to have this unflinching faith in Bhagwan. Bhagwan is in charge of our lives, and He will take care. Yogakshemam vahamyaham. He himself has reassured us. Vahami means to carry. He will carry the burden of our welfare. So this unflinching faith should take us to the next stage, which is implicit obedience. So he knows what is best for me, so let me just follow him. Let me do as he says. And that is what Arjuna does even in the Bhagavad Gita, isn't it? When Lord Krishna gives him a choice, I have told you everything. Now it is up to you. Yatha ichchasi tatha kuru. He says, you do what you want. But what does Arjuna say? Karishye vachanam tava. I will abide by your words. I will follow your instructions. So this implicit obedience to the teachings of Bhagwan is what we should, grow to from this stage of faith. When a lady teacher of Swami's Institute, in an interview, when Swami asks her, what do you want? She says, Swami, give me bhakti. Why bhakti? Swami, I have to choose Swami over anything and everything in every situation to make that choice. I need bhakti, Swami. Swami says, bhakti is already there. What you need is ask for obedience, Swami says. This is what we need in our journey with Bhagwan. Implicit obedience, not to cherry pick his teachings and make it suit the demand of our mind. No, that is not the thing. As he says in letter and spirit, that is what we need to do, for which studying his teachings is a very important sadhana, swadhyaya, regular study of what Bhagwan has told. His Vahinis, the numerous volumes of Satya Sai speaks, the Vahinis, why are they for us, isn't it? For this implicit obedience. And this is what will take us to the stage of unconditional acceptance of the will of God. Whatever happens, it is his prasadam. And this is how we get equanimity. And this is what will take us to the final stage in bhakti, that is surrender. That is whatever happens, good or bad, that is all his giving only. It is his will, and that is what I need to accept. See, we all know about James Sinclair, isn't it? A very ardent devotee of Bhagwan from the United States. And it seems Swami would address him as Sinclair Joy, because he would be so happy all the time. He was in sync with Bhagwan, and his connection with Bhagwan was so much that everything, he would be so happy. And Swami would call him Sinclair Joy. And his, dear wife, on her way to Prasanthi Nilayam to have Bhagwan's darshan, she dies in a tragic accident. And this Sinclair himself is mourning and grieving his dear wife's death. And a few days later, he comes to Prasanthi Nilayam, and Bhagwan, in the interview asks him, Sinclair, what do you want? And this great devotee that he is, who had surrendered to the will of Bhagwan, who had accepted everything as Bhagwan's prasadam, he says, Swami, I want what you want for me. Perfectly aligning our little will, the delusion that we have this free will, aligning this with the divine will. Actually, there is no free will, it's a delusion. All is his will only. And to live in this awareness every moment. And Swami, I want what you want for me. That is probably the highest prayer. And bhakti should lead us to this. Bhakti is what Swami says. Bhakti is that in which there is no vibhakti, there is no separation between the lover and the beloved. They become one and the same. So this ananya bhakti, para bhakti, the highest bhakti, is nothing but jnana itself. That there is no two, there is only one, Advaita Darshanam Jnanam. So, having come into this anityam asukham lokam, imam prapya bhajasvamam, taking refuge in the lotus feet of Bhagwan, and grow in our bhakti through these stages, trust, obey, accept, surrender, I think are very powerful tools for us. And we need this even for the path of jnana also. If we have to have vairagya, viraga to the world, we have to have this vishesha raga to the world. That is transforming our raga for the world, attachment for the world, into anuraga for Swami, our love for Swami. And this is how we transform our monkey mind The monkey which gets trapped in the pot into a monk-like mind. Monkey into a monk-like mind. Monk-like mind is the spirit of internal renunciation. And that is what, that is how we can having Bhagwan as our guide and Guru and our companion. These are the tools that are available for us. And another aspect, in this journey, Swami also reminds us about this. See, whenever we see, a huge banyan tree which has, survived for years and probably centuries, and which has withstood the nature's fury, the onslaught of tornadoes and, heavy rainfall, but it is still there surviving. We admire the beauty of this tree. We admire the tenacity. We admire the endurance of this tree, isn't it? But when it comes to our own life, even a small thing will upset us so much. We start blaming everyone, our spouse, our children, our boss, the society, the government, God himself. We are so upset by these little changes in our life. We cannot take it because we have this insistence. I want only this particular thing. When something goes out of the way, resistant to it. Resistance, this insistence plus resistance, that is the sure formula for sorrow. But instead, if we accept all these little tests, all these changes that come in our way as the tests of Swami, these are all spiritual tests for us. And what does Swami say about test? Swami says, test is my taste. Swami reminds the students, at the end of the academic year, there is an exam that the university gives you, not to put you into trouble and anxiety, but to give you the joy of passing the exam and getting promoted to higher grades. This is how we grow. This is how we have to grow also spiritually, isn't it? So these tests are the tests for our own faith, our own sadhana in the spiritual journey. It is there for us to have the joy of going through the test and getting promoted to higher grades in our journey. That is why every change should be, welcome for us, because every situation in our life, especially the difficult ones, the difficult relationships in our life, the difficult things that we have to go through in our life, that is all tailor-made, that is all designed in such a way that it gives us an opportunity to grow spiritually, to hold on to Bhagwan more and more, practice his teachings, and that is how we grow in our spiritual journey. That is why, this suffering is such a powerful tool for us in this spiritual journey. Swami also says, when you drive a nail into the wall, then what happens? You just pull out the nail and see whether the nail is strong enough to hold the picture that you want to hang on the wall. Similarly, when we are journeying with Bhagwan, in our life, Swami too, once in a while, he pulls out this nail of sadhana that we are doing, the nail of namasmarana that we are doing, to check whether this has enough strength, this has enough faith, enough strength to hold the picture of Swami himself in the wall of our heart. And these are the tests that come our way, so we should not get deterred by these tests, and they are all welcome for us. Once, a student comes and tells Bhagwan, Swami, you say this Mirabai, Sakubai are such great devotees, but in their life all they had was suffering. Isn't it, Swami? Then Swami asked this boy, who told you? Did they come and tell you that they were suffering in their life? Swami says, they were so immersed in Bhagwan, in God, that all this bodily pain and all this suffering did not matter to them at all. And when Swami himself was confined to the wheelchair for the first time when he had the hip fracture, when a devotee asks Swami, Swami, do you have pain? And Swami says, Noppi undi kani suffering ledu. After all, this is the body, it goes through all these changes. But though the pain is there, suffering is optional for us. Swami says, suffering is not there. That, for us comes from our inner peace in this journey with Bhagwan. And suffering is a better teacher than happiness, isn't it? We all know this. Suffering entitles us to the grace of Bhagwan. See, once a student who had just, entered Swami's university, he did not have much faith in Bhagwan and he did not know much about Bhagwan. And, Swami is giving a discourse in the Trai Brindavan session, and Swami is standing and speaking. And the student is blessed to do Pada Seva to Swami. And when Swami is speaking, Swami lifts his foot like this, and the hand of this boy goes underneath the foot of Bhagwan. And Swami presses his foot on the hand of this student. And after some time, the pain is so unbearable, and he even comes to the extent of screaming out of pain. And then Swami, releases the pressure. And this student later, he comes to know that he was suffering from sinusitis headache, which was a great problem for him. He could not concentrate because of this sinusitis headache. And later he meets a doctor who is a specialist in acupuncture and acupressure. And this doctor demonstrates to him, he holds his hand so tightly that it is to the extent of causing so much pain, and he releases it and he says, this is the treatment in acupressure for sinusitis. And Bhagwan had already cured him of this disease by giving him the pain. So this suffering is the bitter medicine that our divine Sai Ma administers to us to cure us of the most deadliest disease, that is Bhavaroga itself. See, it is when we are going through suffering that Bhagwan is with us, and he is carrying it as in his arms, isn't it? There is this beautiful story, the footprints in the sands of time. One night, a man dreams that he is walking with God on the sands of shore, and many scenes from his own life flash before his eyes. And he always sees the two sets of footprints on the sand. He intuitively knows that one belongs to him and other to the Lord. And he is so relieved. But when he is going through the most testing times of his life, then he can see only one set of footprints on the sand. And with great anguish, he asks God, "Oh God, you had promised me that you would be always with me, and why have you left me in my most troubled times?" And God replies, "That was when I was carrying you in my arms, and the only set of footprints you see on the sand, that belongs to me." And that is how, we get the grace of Bhagwan. And suffering is such a great teacher that takes us close to reality. See, on the other hand, if we have happiness, if we are so happy with the world, say Kana, Pina, Sona, that is all is there to the world. If we are immersed in the world, we become so complacent in our spiritual journey that we are even not aware of a higher reality. We think this body, mind is everything, and to satisfy that is what I am born for, isn't it? But suffering draws us closer to reality. And whenever there is a test, we must know that Swami gives us the strength to pass the test also. Once Swami asks Rama Brahmam, he was the caretaker of Vrindavan Ashram, a very hefty man, very well-built man, and Swami says, "Come on, wear my robe." And Rama Brahmam says, "Swami, your robe," because he is so big built. And Swami says, "Nothing doing. When I tell you something, you have to do it." And he takes the robe, and somehow he pushes his big head into the robe. And as he wears the robe, lo and behold, the robe expands to suit his size. See, whenever there is something that comes our way that we think that Bhagwan has given me this test, and if we take it and we accept it and we go through it, he gives us the strength also. He will see to it that is done, that test is passed, and we are able to go through that. And that is what suffering does to us. But another perspective to suffering, which is probably the answer to all the kleshas that we saw in the beginning, that is, see, in one scenario in our life, all the suffering that is there, all the pain, that is even a matter of enjoyment for us. We don't get affected by it. What is that scenario? It is in a movie, it is in a drama, isn't it? We know that We are not the roles. We are not the ones on the stage. We are acting. We are a spectator to all the tragedy, the horror, the terror, all that is happening on the stage. We are only a witness. So it is only when we realize that this body and mind, they go through suffering. And we are not this body, we are not the mind. We are that witness consciousness, that pure consciousness, witnessing the happenings in the body and the mind. That is when there is transcendence of suffering. That is why the promise of spirituality is Atyantika Dukkha Nivritti, cessation of the heaviest of the sorrows, and Paramananda Praptischa, attainment of highest bliss, the infinite happiness, bliss that we are seeking for, seeking after all the time. And Swami says, what is bliss? It is happiness for no reason. No reason, nothing in the world, nothing outside of you to seek happiness. No reason, because your true nature is that Ananda, and that is what bliss is. See, when we went to the Gold Coast a couple of days ago, when I was watching the waves hitting the shore, I was reminded of this beautiful analogy that Bhagwan gives, the wave and the ocean. See, a wave is born in the ocean. It stays for some time, hits the shore and dies back into the ocean. Similarly, our bodies are born and we survive for some time and the bodies die. And this is what our journey is, the wave journey. But what does the wave do in its wave journey? When it looks at a smaller wave, it is so proud and it looks down on this wave. When it looks at a bigger wave, a bigger tsunami wave probably, it is so jealous of that wave. It wants to compete with the wave, comparison, competition, and the rat race. And that is how the wave is so restless. It cannot be happy. All the time going through this misery, either looking down or, either being jealous of the bigger wave and competing with it. And this is what happens to us when we identify with the body and the mind. And that is why all the Arishad Vargas, the 6 inner enemies, are born in us. On the other hand, when there is this spiritual wave comes and reminds this wave, see, look at your own self. What are you? You are not this little wave that you think to be. You are the water itself in the ocean. So when the wave realizes my true reality is that of water, and not only me, not only I am water, but every other wave is water and water alone, and I am not different from the other waves, that is when the misery for the wave ends. And this is how, when Bhagwan comes in human form and he reminds us, you are not this body, you are not the mind. So don't have this wave mentality. You know that to be that water, that divinity that you are. When we know that we are divine and everyone else is so, that is when, we are not afraid of anything anymore. Dvitiyat vai bhayam bhavati, the Upanishad reminds us. Which means it is only when you think there is something other than you, that is when we are so insecure, we are so fearful. That is when the comparison, competition, rat race, misery, all the time. But we know we are one with everyone. It is the same divinity. Madatma, Sarva Bhutatma. When that realization comes, that is why the Upanishad says, Tarati Shokam Atmavit. Only the knower of this reality, Atman, he goes across the ocean of sorrow. That is the transcendence of sorrow. That is when all our problem ends. And that is when we don't bug God. Oh God, what happened to me? What is this I am suffering? Why did you create all these things? And that is the journey to seek God in our own heart. That's why, God says, not only I am peaceful, he himself finds peace. He knows it is Shantam. He himself is Prashanti. That is what he realizes. And the Bhagavad Gita also says, Gurunapi dukkhena na vichalyate. Such a person who knows what he truly is, he not only rises above his own sorrow, he is an unaffected, uninvolved witness. He is not affected by anything. He not only rises above his own sorrow, he is so, eager to alleviate the sorrow of others. This is what we have seen in the lives of great masters, Mahatmas, the realized souls, and this is what we have seen in Bhagwan's life. He struggled for us. He suffered for us to uplift us, from humanity to the status of divinity. The descent of Godhead happens for the ascent of mankind. And that is the true culmination of this journey with Bhagwan. One Swami asks a lady, who is elder to Swami, then how old are you? And that lady replies, Swami, I am 3 years older to you. Swami says, you are not 3 years older to me. You are 3 years older to this body. See, here is the loving Lord, the compassionate Lord, who came down to our level, who never missed an opportunity to teach us this truth. You are not this body, you are not the mind. And that is his greatest teaching. And he has taught it in a loving way through his own love for humanity. And I think when we call ourselves his devotees, it is up to us, when he says these tests are his taste, isn't it up to us to cater to his taste? Welcome every test in our life and pass them by practicing his teachings so that, we make it there, to the end of this journey. And with deepest sense of gratitude, I thank Bhagwan for this wonderful blessing of dwelling on some of his teachings on the theme Journey with Sai. And I also pray to Bhagwan on behalf of all of us to bless us to hold on to him, give our mind to him, Manasa Bhajare, Guru Charanam, so that he ferries us across this ocean of samsara, ocean of sorrow, into the shore from where there is no return. And I humbly request Sister Saraswati ji to, sing the last verse of Bhajagovindam, which summarizes what Bhagwan is to us.
Guru Charanambuja Nirbhara Bhakta Samsarat Achirat Bhavamukta Guru Charanambuja Nirbhara Bhakta Samsarat Achirat Bhavamukta Sendriyamanasa Niyamadevam Sendriyamanasa Niyamadevam Drakshasi Nija Hridayastam Devam Drakshasi Nija Hridayastam Devam Bhaja Govindam Bhaja Govindam Govindam Bhaja Mudhamate Bhaja Govindam Bhaja Govindam Govindam Bhaja Mudhamate.
O steadfast devotee of the lotus feet of the Lord, by his grace and through the assiduous control of the senses and the mind, may you cross this ocean of samsara, the transmigratory cycle of birth and death, and may you behold his presence, who is your own indweller of your own heart. I am very grateful to all of you. I offer this at Bhagwan's lotus feet, Harihi Om Tat Sat Shri Sai Ishwararpanamastu. Thank you very much.